project title is called, the project is called PACERS, which stands for Positive Achievement and Creativity Equals Righteous Success. PACERS was named by the students that we work with, and I was fortunate enough to step into the PACERS project 2 years after it began, and we are about to start our 9th year, so we have been going for quite a long time. The project was started by my predecessor, a former colleague named Dr. Richard Hendrickson, who was a professor here at Western. And what happened was Dr. Hendrickson went to Rock Island High School in the Quad Cities and said, I want to work with your toughest kids. I want to work with the kids that you don't think are going to make it through high school. Who are they? And he sat down with a school counselor and they picked a group of kids, and the program includes mentoring and tutoring, group counseling, individual counseling, and he's worked with those kids their freshman and sophomore years of high school. He moved to accept a position in Texas, and I stepped in, and I worked with the kids then their junior, senior year of high school. Every one of those kids who stayed at Rock Island High School and didn't move to a different school graduated from high school. And they were the kids that were supposed to be the ones who were not going to graduate. That program was run all through volunteer hours, time, money. If we wanted to buy the kids pizza, we all kicked in $10. And we had the opportunity then 5 or 6 years ago, I can't recall now, I have to think, to apply for some grant funding through AT&T's Reach for Success program. And the program, the AT&T was offering funding, grant funding, to work with programs like PACERS, who worked to assure that kids graduated from high school. So we were fortunate enough, we wrote a grant. When I say we, the grant was written by myself, Dr. Rory Carson, who at the time was the Associate Dean in the College of Education, who's phenomenal. And she and I worked on the grant along with Rodney Greer, who was in the College of Ed at the time, and we were able to secure almost $400,000 of funding to start a new PACERS cohort, which was amazing to go from a group that we ran with nothing to $400,000. So we expanded the program considerably. When you have $400,000, you can do that. $377, I believe, is actually what the amount was. And we've worked with 51 kids since the funding began for PACERS. We purchase the kids' school supplies. We provide stipends to the mentors who work with the kids. We do a quarterly service learning project, so we take the kids out into the Rock Island community, helping them learn the importance of giving back to their community. We do leadership training. We bring them here to Macomb, and they do the ropes courses here, which has been a phenomenal experience. We take them on college visits, job shadowing. We have weekly meetings where group counseling. They work with individual interns from the counselor education department. We have a graduate assistant that's there, at least one, sometimes two, that are at Rock Island High School that work with those kids at least 20 hours a week. So it's been a phenomenal program. We have, that was 5 years ago, I guess it was. We've had one group of seniors that graduated last year. Our second group of kids will graduate in about 3 weeks, so we're pretty excited about that. And then we have some juniors. So they'll be finishing up the cohort from that first grant project, that first grant funding. We did receive an additional $70,000 last year from the AT&T Foundation to continue the program and to help the kids who were still in the program get all the way through. We were going to run out of money before we ran out of kids. So those kids will be graduating. We'll have one more year of that. So we're pretty excited. It's been good. Well, we've had graduate students involved in a couple of different ways with the PACERS program. We always have at least one, sometimes two graduate assistants. Those individuals are students in the counselor education department. Always one of those graduate students is an intern. So that individual, practicum or internship student, so that individual is able to provide individual counseling to the kids. They have the skills to do that. When we have two students, we frequently have a second student who is not in their practicum or internship, And they're working with the kids, but they're not doing as much of the direct counseling because they're not quite to that level. So they're helping run meetings and coordinating events. When we have, one of my graduate assistants said to me one time, we don't just have dinner anymore, it's an event, because you wind up having 80 people there. So they help with those sorts of things, and then they work with the kids, and then that second individual usually works his or her way into the internship position the following year. So our students have been involved through the graduate assistantship. We've also had a number of students who have just been involved as mentors, and so they come in and they work with the kids on homework, on talking to them about just the tough life choices of being a teenager and trying to figure out how to manage their world, which for most of the kids, their worlds are pretty chaotic. And so it's good to have an adult around. So those are typically the two ways that our students have been involved. Well, it's a great project for our students, particularly counseling students, because it puts them in a position, our students in a position to work with people who really need the skills that they're learning. I frequently talk about counseling to people who aren't familiar with counseling. It's much like training someone to be a nurse. So it's great if you can read a book about how to draw blood, but until you actually stick a needle in and draw the blood, we don't know if you can really do that. Counseling is the same way. You can read all the counseling books in the world, but can you actually sit down with a person who has a problem and help them? And help them help themselves is really what we do. So the PACERS program takes our students out of the classroom and puts them in front of people, kids who are dealing with some tough situations, and lets our students use their skills. It lets them practice. It gives them a real life experience. They begin to connect with these kids who need them, and they need each other. It's really mutually beneficial. Here we've had our first group, the first 4, then we started another. Yeah, we're in our 9th year. It is ongoing. I just finished maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, writing another grant for the PACERS program, again submitted through the AT&T Foundation, who've been a fabulous partner with this project. But the grant I just wrote for is actually to start an 8th grade cohort. And so what that would mean is students would begin the PACERS program, instead of beginning their freshman year of high school, they would begin at their 2nd semester of their 8th grade year of middle school. Because what research shows us is the first 60 days of the freshman year of high school are the most pivotal. If students feel like they can be successful in that time, they're far more likely to stay in high school than if they feel like they've been unsuccessful. So we're working with them the minute they walk in the door as freshmen, but if we can get them a semester before then, I think we'll have tremendous results. So I'm pretty excited about this new project, because I think we'll be able to really expand the program and help even more kids. Well, future graduate students, they can get involved as a mentor, they can get involved as a tutor, they can help us recruit kids, work with kids, partner with the schools. Future graduate students, if someone is interested in graduate studies, particularly in counseling, the PACERS program is a great way to get involved, to volunteer as someone who spends time with the kids and get to see really advocacy and counseling in action, because what we're training our students to do, our counseling students to do, is exactly what they're doing with those PACERS kids, particularly our school counseling students. They're in the school, they're getting kind of the whole picture of that. I think that WAU has a really great focus on teaching and learning, and I think that that's really important when you're a graduate student, particularly at the master's level. You're learning something, you're learning a skill that you're going to use, and you're going to use it every day. And WAU offers that hands-on experience, that really practical, and the research and all those other sorts of things. But really, I say to my students all the time, we're going to talk about this tonight, you can use it tomorrow. When you go back to your office tomorrow, you go back to your students, you go back to wherever, you can use it. And I think that is really important because you see how quickly you're learning. You're able to utilize those skills very effectively and efficiently. And the faculty, we're here to help people grow personally and professionally. And I think that sometimes if you go to a great big school with a great big graduate program, you can get lost in in the crowd really easily. And at Western, we're really dedicated to our students' success.